Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we're going to be talking about the Primal Hunt, a new mechanic coming August 21st for last Epoch. The idea is we're going to be evolving our dinosaur here through different evolutionary paths to gain different rewards and to also make it much more difficult. Now, mainly the idea is we're going to have up to 4 attempts to go and attack the Rift Beast. That's what it's called. And when it dies, we're going to choose one of its eggs to move on. The idea is, you're choosing which part of the lineage to go forward, kind of like evolution, right, in real life here. And each time you do that, you're going to get access to a different item he drops. Now, he can drop a different item, or he can drop one of the primordial, materials. What's interesting though is we see rare boots there. I'm curious if it'll end up turning into like exalted items, maybe runes of ascendance, stuff like that. That would be very cool to see. But mainly what we're looking for is the primordial hunt materials, as you'll see in a bit. Now, these rift beasts, apparently, they will get very dangerous, as adding a bunch of different, mechanics on them will probably make them absurdly dangerous, as you can see here. Like, poison, release poison pools. Like, yeah, poison damage in last epoch is no joke currently. Um, like, see, we have like drop glyphs here. Eventually, these will probably get way better later on. I'm curious if how choosing in the earlier lineages like influences the later lineages, right? I'm very curious about that. Now, evolution here, they do look really cool. Now, the idea is we are going to choose a Rift Beast, right? And then we're going to keep pushing it through the 4 encounters, right? Both Torn Rifts and Mysterious Rift. Activating a Torn Rift, which is like the normal one, will summon the descendants of the Rift Beast, which you'll be able to fight and defeat for your chosen rewards. After slaying enough Rift Beasts from Torn Rifts, you'll encounter another Mysterious Rift. So the idea here, what's going to go on, is you're going to evolve one of them, and then as you're going through the campaign or through the Monolith of Fate and stuff like that, you'll encounter more Torn Rifts, which you'll do, and you're gonna fight apparently even more descendants of the Rift Beast. Like, you're gonna fight like mini versions of it or whatever, which will drop extra rewards and stuff like that. And then eventually you'll get a new Mysterious Rift where you can choose to change them again. So you're actually gonna get benefits from it. So see how it says like drops rare boots and drops glyphs? You're going to be able to get this reward multiple times in the future when you kill multiple rift beasts while you're trying to go find more mysterious rifts. So it's instead of it being like kind of like a one and done thing, kind of like Nemesis, it's going to be over a longer period of time where you're kind of setting up things for benefits later on, which I find very interesting. It's very cool. That does sound pretty cool. Now, the Mysterious Rift, after you find it, after slaying enough Rift Beasts from Torn Rifts, it will send you back to the ancient era, where you will be presented with an opportunity to further guide the evolution of their lineage. Starting with a maximum of 4 evolutions, you may find additional ways to expand your Build-A-Beast configuration, forcing even further evolution. Now, it says with a maximum of 4 evolutions. I'm going to assume that means that we're going to be able to push them even further. I couldn't imagine how ridiculous of a monster that will end up. The only thing I hope with this is I hope that there's enough different kinds of evolutions, because if there's only a certain amount of evolutions, like, I could see it getting boring very quickly, but we'll see. Now, of course, evolution isn't only a visual change. With each evolution, we'll gain new abilities and powers, as well as provide additional loot, including one type of the primordial material, which you'll need to get in order to get the primordial items. Now, okay, what's interesting here is we will use these primordial materials to buy from the Huntmaster, this guy, the Wangari dude from the trailer. So here, we can buy a bunch of different items. As you can see, he's kind of like a unique vendor. Now, there's a lot of different things you can do with him. You can buy primordial uniques from him. You can buy normal items. You can probably buy exalted items. You can buy just like probably uniques with LP on them. And you can buy bags of materials and stuff like that. So here, there's a bunch of different grabby bags, like grab bags of goodies, like random unique items. That's cool. Gold shards or even memory amber, so you can maybe even get gold from this. And you being able to get memory amber from this is really cool. So you can like farm memory amber in a different way, because let's be real, the current way that people are farming memory amber is probably going the way of the dodo. So that's very interesting. There's a large smorgasbord here. There's a large smorgasbord here, right? Like there's a lot of these things. Like now I'm curious how he's gonna like refresh and stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure. But there's a lot of items here. I don't know how he's gonna refresh and stuff like that. Oh, maybe you have access to all of the primordial uniques. I'm not entirely sure, but there are a lot of items. What's interesting though is this is a Wings of Argentus, and a Wings of Argentus is like a boss only drop. So maybe he gets access to boss only drops. I'm not entirely sure. That would be interesting, but yeah, like you can get a lot of stuff. Now, some of the other stuff you can get is Rune of Evolution. So the way that this is going to work is you're going to be turning a tier 7 modifier into a tier 8 modifier randomly. Uh, you can do this on any item, that any exalted item, and the idea here is it'll move it to a second sealed affix slot. So yes, you will be able to have 6 affix items. You'll have 1 sealed, 1 Rune of Evolution. Like you can have a really disgusting item now in Last Epoch. Now the thing is though, you can only have 1 primordial item at a time. So you can only have 1 primordial unique, or that's the big thing, or a primordial exalted. So if there's a primordial exalted that you're not like, if there's no primordial exalteds that your build can utilize and abuse, you're going to be probably moving on to using a Rune of Evolution and getting that tier 8 affix. Now the tier 8 affix will have like 50% more stats than the normal affix. So like for instance, if you go from a 50% attack speed bonus, you go to T8, it'll be 75% attack speed, which is a lot of attack speed. And there's a lot of other stuff you can do with this. Like you can use it to abuse getting more parry chance, more block chance that you normally would get on non-sentinel classes. There's a lot of different ways of abusing this, which is interesting. But like I said, you eschew your opportunity to use a primordial unique. So that's interesting. I like this. This means that like exalted items, remember in these sealed slots, you cannot use these for uniques because they'll be moving into sealed slots. So this is going to make items like set items a lot more impactful as Rune of at least for 1 slot on your character. As you can see, like just 1 slot, like yeah, it's very cool. T8 affixes are going to be freaking insane because you can also, like I said, you can get like you can go to a nemesis, right? And get a T7 item, okay? One of the T7s can be sealed because it's nemesis, right? And your normal item can be T7 or whatever. And you can use Runes of Evolution. You can end up with a T7 sealed and a T8 sealed, and then you can manipulate the item further from that. There's a lot of potential from this, a lot of potential power. The only problem is like it's very like like you not only do you need like like this is gonna like raise the ceiling of what is good on an item like significantly, while not really raising the floor, if that makes sense. Because what's gonna end up happening is like, to make these ridiculously powerful items, you're gonna need to like find ridiculously powerful, like this doesn't like make your item from bad to good, it makes your good item even better. And like I said, you need to start with a good item in the first place probably. Although also there's a lot of primordial materials. Like if they only drop like 1 like a feather or whatever like that per primordial beast or whatever, maybe they drop more per beast. Still, like that's a lot of feathers. Maybe this will be trivial, who knows. But yeah, primordial exalteds seem absolutely insane, just absolutely insane. Now primordial uniques, apparently they're just simply going to be a unique that you can only have one of, or you're gonna have one of the Primordial Exalted that allows them to be powerful. You're only gonna ever have one on your character. This also makes it so that they can make them really interesting and unique without needing to worry about them getting utilized together, which means they can have a lot of power in a singular item. Now, the ring looks very strong, the amulet looks very fun, and then, the relic is minion related, which will be interesting, right? Hopefully the Tyrannosaur isn't shit. We'll see. But that's really interesting. Now, when you buy the Primordial Unique items from Scarvin, they will roll for legendary potential. So, problem here, if you can only buy the items from Scarvin, right, like this means that you can't imprint the uniques, right, at all. You can't imprint them. You can nemesis the ones that don't roll LP though. So what's going to end up happening is if you want one of these items and you want a lot of LP on them very quickly, it's going to be a little bit tougher because you won't be able to use Woven Echoes for that. So, yeah. And because of their strength, I'm going to assume they all have like high LP ratios and stuff like that. Something interesting as well is there's a Fractured Crown here. And like Fractured Crown is an item that's like really annoying to craft currently. So being able to actually get Fractured Crowns from this is nice. So just a lot of grab bag of stuff. But that is something to note, that like you won't be able to get amazing LP on these things very quickly because you're going to have to do the primordial hunt, find the item, buy the item. Hopefully you can buy multiple of the item, but that's not really how these vendors have gone in the past. So maybe we can buy multiple of the same item. Who knows? There's also like a different sheen of color on these specific ones. If you like look a little bit like closer, you can see that like they have like this blue sheen, kind of like a fractured sheen from like Path of Exile, like on fractured items or synth items. This one looks green as well. Like the static shell looks green. So like they do look like they have different colors. Maybe that's just the UI being weird or whatever, but still interesting. Very interesting. And there's just some Twitch shop stuff, which is like whatever. But yeah, I'm excited for next patch. These items look like they'll be very fun. There's not going to be that much content this patch. By the way, I wouldn't expect that much content, but this is definitely enough content to keep me going because this does look very enjoyable. Now, with all that being said, this has been Dread. I'll have to go do something else. Bye.